Hello everyone, my name is Stefan, also known as Anubosaurus, and I'd like to welcome you to Naughty MMOs, where today we'll be playing the Lord of the Rings Online. So what is Lord of the Rings Online? Quite simply what it says in the title. It's a Lord of the Rings game based around the stories, and I'll tell you more about it. But first, let me bring you here to this character selection screen, where you can play 4 different races: man, human, Hobbit, or Elf. So you can only play heroes, in other words, like good guys. You can't really play the bad guys, the evil, which is kind of unlike other MMO games where you do have a choice between good or evil. So I don't know if that's a pro or a con to the game. You can decide that later on. You can also, of course, choose to be a male or a female character. A little funny thing people have pointed out in the past about this game is of course, man is a race instead of human. They just wrote man, so even if you click female, you're still a man. Now I'm going to stick with female, and I'm going to stick with the man class, I guess. Race even, not class. But that brings me straight to my next point, which are the classes. And there are 9 classes to choose from. Now, not every race allows you to play every single 9 classes. For instance, humans, you can only play 8 out of the 9. You can't play Rune Keeper, which is a bit of a shame, but you know what, that reason doesn't bother me too much. So also, another one here, you see a nice little coin next to Warden, and the reason for that is that Lord of the Rings Online is free to play, however not completely free to play. This game was highly successful as a paid game, and then they made it open for public in 2010, and since then it has become even bigger, yet of course I still want to make money somehow, so some classes cost by look of it. Anyway, also here on the right side of the screen it shows you information about the class you want, for instance if it's difficult to play the role and what kind of a role they play. Also, it tells you a bit of how to put this, characteristics of each race. Some advantages they'll have over other races. So like strong men improves your strength, which was quite simple from the name obviously. So anyway, I'm gonna go with a hunter because I like hunters, and you know what? She looks fine. So I'm just gonna go, but okay, wow, she changed hair color. Nope, don't want that. So I'm gonna change it back here, and as you can see there's lots and lots of things you can edit here, so you could really just go crazy editing stuff here, and you know, I'm sure if you really wanted to you could edit this whole day long, but I'm just gonna make her, you know what, that actually looks pretty decent. And so I'm gonna write in my name, which in this case will be the Anubosaurus, spelled correctly hopefully. And here I get to choose my origin, for instance, if I'm from the Bree land, if I'm Dale lands, Gondor, or Rohan. So from the movies and the books, I think my favorite was Gondor, so I'll be going for Gondor. For some reason my hair color just changed again, so I'm just gonna go with like really dark brown hair. There we go. So having said that, now I've got my name. I can take the next 10 days if I wanted to changing this, and if you're interested in Lord of the Rings and you really are a fanboy, fangirl of Lord of the Rings, you can read all this stuff, for instance, common feminine name endings, and you know, you can really randomize names here, so there is really a lot you can do, and you can spend all the time you want in the world trying to edit all this stuff. Having said that, anyway, I'm just gonna go and create my player. My name wasn't taken, that's always good news. So let me quickly tell you a bit about this screen. This is the screen you'll get if you already have a character selected, and this is the screen you'll usually get. This is your main screen. So you can buy points and upgrade accounts at the Lord of the Rings store, Lord of the Rings online store even. So that's for, you know, special certain things, I guess. You know, I'm not really sure, I haven't played the game completely through, so I don't know what you have to buy, but there are still elements you have to pay for. So Monster Player, which is currently blacked out, is the PvP section of the game, which you unlock at level 10. And you get a monster then or something you can play, and you can do all the stuff with your monster. Anyway, for the sake of this, we're going to enter Middle Earth now with the character I just created. So bear with me please while the loading screen starts. Now this thing, what am I talking about? Bad review. This game has, oh there we go, it's $9.99 a month to access the VIP section. So anyway, this game is very story based, and the way it does it is via chapters of a book. So there is a main storyline, also known as the Epic Quest, and your Epic Quests are chapters of a book. And there are 15 books in total, and there's 3 volumes of books. So if that sounds confusing at first, It is slightly, however, it really is actually quite simple. It's just imagine a main quest to move the story forward as a chapter of a book. When you've completed a certain amount of chapters, your book is done. And then another book starts. And then a volume starts. So anyway, here you start in jail and you have to kind of walk behind Strider. And for some reason, it just tells you the very, very basic stuff. I just walked through a post, who cares? So he just really owns these guys, and the ruffians really didn't stand a chance, and he wants me to open this satchel. Can you tell this is not the first time I'm playing this game? Oh, apparently I was moving, so you can't open stuff while moving. We've learned that already. So I get a bow and a knife. Perfect. So whenever you see a ring on top of someone's head, that means they're giving you a quest. So you should practice combat with me. So I need to click on this item and right click. Except I first might want to... oh god, I didn't want to do that. So I gotta fight against Strider. Although obviously I'm not gonna kill him because he's my ally, but it's just a little kind of friendly fighting because they want to see how good you are at fighting. However, as I've picked a hunter, hunters generally don't do that much close range damage from what I understand. They're more far ranged. Anyway, he said that was good enough, so we just get to continue this, and we get to follow him wherever the heck he goes. So he's sending us to go outside, perfect, and through these doors. Now, doors and portals. Essentially, doors lead you to new locations, which seems very straightforward, so I don't know why they had to explain that really. But it's good to know, you know, it is good to know. Now, there are a few things I didn't tell you about this game yet, which I should have told you straight off at the beginning. And those are things such as this game was published by Turbine and Midway Games, which are the same people who brought you Dungeons and Dragons, from what I understand. And so, you know, they're pretty well established. It's a pretty good game. The game came out in 2007, and at the time you had to pay for it. And then in 2010, despite doing great on sales and still, you know, making lots of money, they decided to open it up to the public and make it free to play, which I think was a very, very good step, and they gained even more players at that point. And since then it's just really exploded in a very positive way, and they've really perfected stuff. And these animations, I mean, just look at the countryside there in the background, just the details to the trees and everything. I mean, you know, it's not Battlefield 3 graphics, or it's not, you know, absolute perfect graphics, don't get me wrong, but the graphics are more than, you know, worthy, I'd say. They're definitely fun to play, and you don't realize the graphics when you're really concentrating on the game. In my opinion, at least. I might be wrong. You guys might pay, you know, detail to every smallest pixel, but in my opinion, if the game sounds good and the game plays well, that's all I need. And this game has everything I enjoy. It has lots of races to choose from. It has professions later on. You can get titles, and essentially it's got that very nice feel to it. It's a very easy game to learn to play, and it's very, very typical of MMO games. And it has a very, very strong story-based, and I love the Lord of the Rings stories and the whole franchise, so this game is perfect for someone like me, where they stick to all the kind of elements of Lord of the Rings, and you see familiar names, and you see familiar locations from the movies or from the books, and it really, really kind of makes you feel like you're there, which is perfect for a game like this. So I really do advise you go and pick this game up, because I mean, you'll see this tutorial pretty much comes to an end in, you know, maybe a matter of 2-3 minutes. So this tutorial literally takes, you know, 10 minutes at most, and that is if you actually go and read every single thing which everyone says. So I think this is a really, really fun game to play, and it's definitely a fun game if you try to do guilds, or if you try and team up with other players. I think this was also a very nice thing they added, that if you're in a group with players to do, I don't know, some sort of quests, you are part of a fellowship, which I thought was a very, very good thing to add, because obviously you're part of the fellowship of some sort. Now, for instance, the character we just saved here was Celandine Brandybuck. So I'm pretty sure Brandybuck was either Merry or Pippin was Brandybuck. So it really does show you that, you know, there are familiar names in here, and you can see somewhere back here is Mundo Sackville Baggins. I'm sure I don't have to mention where Baggins comes into play, because we all know the Bagginses. I just pulled out my arrow there from like virtually short distance and still killed him perfectly. The Black Rider will finish you. Will they now? Which Black Rider is going to finish me, huh? Although I don't feel like facing a Black Rider at the moment. I don't think I'd survive. So Brandybuck and Baggins, the two little hobbits, now walk off, and I just follow them, I guess. So, who's here? Oh, there is a Black Rider here. And who's this? Amdir. It looks like Amdir's having a bad day. Amdir! No! And then, for some reason, he's just there, like, just chilling, deciding to, you know, everything's burning around him, so he just decides to stay there, be like, yo, what's up, look at me, I got a horse, you don't. And for some reason then, from nowhere, Strider appears, and this gate opens and I can move again. Come quick, Nubosaurus. I'm here. I get to talk to Amdir. Good, the hobbits are out of danger. I am glad. Continue quest. So, talk to Strider. Ooh, Amdir just really had a bad day. He looks like one of those kind of Olympic runners. He's got the torch in his hand. Looks like someone who just ran a marathon. He's like, I can't do it anymore. So anyway, that's the end of the tutorial. And now we just go into the kind of real world, I should say, where you can interact with other fellow players. And here, as I said, you see movies of kind of what happens, and just these kind of quests, these epic quests, which leads the story further on. Now, it does not mean that you're not going to get boring quests like kill 8 wolves or, you know, basic things like that. You do get those too. I'm just saying that there are bigger epic quests which lead the story further on. And they lead the story on, as I said, to places which you'll recognize, and it really, really does kind of sum up everything from Lord of the Rings, and you'll even see a few things from The Hobbit in it. But that's it. You don't see any of the other J.R.R. Tolkien kind of works in play, so you won't see stuff like the, you know, the two other main titles he had, whose names currently evade my mind. But they don't have the right for the game, for those kind of titles and for those kind of character bases. But anything you find in The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings, you will find represented in this game, from what I understand. So, I mean, this game is just, it's perfect. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's definitely fun to play, and I like Lord of the Rings a lot, so, you know, I think this is a great game. So, as I said, another thing you can mention now is, wait a minute, Amdir's alive, so he didn't die. So Amdir's just kind of had a very bad day. Rewards, choose one. 25 armor, 18 armor. Psh, that's an easy choice, isn't it? So basically, I'm just going to accept these quests, but here in the top minimap, which is a very good minimap in my opinion, you get to see everywhere there's a little ring represented is a place where you can get a quest given to you. So you see lots of rings suddenly appear here, and these scrolls are trainings of some sort, so that's always good. And I don't quite know what these are, but oh well. Anyway, I think that is where I should probably end my playthrough for this so far. So please, if you enjoyed what you saw, then just give it a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to Naughty MMOs, and if you have any questions whatsoever about this game, please just leave them in the comment section below, and we will answer them as soon as we can. Anyway, I've seemed to have got really fixed on this little creature down here, which I can't decide, is it a dog or is it a cat? Either way, it's got a really long tail. And there's a townsperson. Anyway, while I accept this quest, I will now leave. So, goodbye.